This is your daily dose of all things royal. Welcome back, my gorgeous, good-looking friends. Today's video is going to be on the lighter side. I figured I'd take a break from the serious stuff and kind of laugh at all these tabloids that Meghan keeps funding and keeping in business. So this week, In Touch Weekly, as well as Star Magazine, have the dastardly duo on the cover of both their magazines. One with Meghan and her bodyguard speaking out, or former bodyguard speaking out, and the other one talking about Harry finally breaking free. Now, on the surface, you may look at the Star magazine and say, whoa, Harry is, on his way out, and this is him telling the world. No, I think both of these articles came from Meghan's camp in order to position Meghan as the victim. But they do have a little bit of insight into what is really going on. Obviously, we know that these articles are nonsense, or at least by now we know that these articles are nonsense, but they are designed to keep Meghan in the headlines as well as keep the public dumb and distracted from what they're really up to. Now, this first article, definitely paid for by Meghan, is with her former bodyguard that she had when she was in Toronto back in 2016, which I think is kind of sad and pathetic that she can't have a current bodyguard or maybe even a more recent bodyguard that is left monitoring her. But she had this same guy, Steve Davies, come back out to give testimonial on Meghan's kindness and her compassion as a boss. Now, you got to wonder, why is this guy constantly being the spokesperson for security for Meghan Markle? Well, probably because he owns a firm and wants publicity, and I'm sure Meghan paid him well in order to do it. So he gives this interview to In Touch Weekly, and this is what he says. She gets a bad rap for being a not very good person to work with, that she was this evil person in the royal family. Steve, who had an intimate first-hand perspective on Meghan as she transitioned from a relative obscurity as a B-list actress to the unforgiving worldwide spotlight, exclusively tells In Touch, I saw her from working at the studio to working with charities to working with dog walkers and cleaners. There's one huge lesson I learned from her. It's give respect to get respect. God. So let me interject for a quick second. In this exclusive interview, there are no photos of who this Steve Davies is. The photos that I'm showing you are from previous documentaries that he did way back when Meghan and Harry had left the firm. So in this interview, I suspect it was Meghan's team who called him and said, hey, can we use you for good press for Meghan, and we'll give you a little bit of fee and we'll write this story around, you working with her, and probably asked a couple questions or maybe not at all. And Meghan wrote all of this up because clearly the last line here that is said here, we know is not true, right? Like, she gives no respect to anybody. So to say that, really, this is all about publicity, which we all know is why she does these articles. But in any case, it goes on to say, it was around the time that employees started complaining. The staff at Buckingham Palace said they couldn't stand working for her, Steve says. But back in Toronto, aides had seen a different side of Meghan. Nobody had a bad word to say about her, even with the pressure that she was under. She was warm and considerate all the time, he insists, adding that what might surprise people most is how friendly she is and what a big heart she has. She's great to her fans, and she would go out of her way to help people. That's what hurts me, that people believe otherwise. Now, of course, he would say something like that because leading up to before marrying into the royal family, Meghan put on this act of being this kind, compassionate, caring person. And that's what people saw before she got the ring on her finger, and even before the ink dried on that marriage certificate turned into the biggest asshole. We all saw it. Also, when you think about it, this was 7 years ago that this guy worked for Meghan, so she couldn't find anybody recent to give a testimony on her character and behavior. You know what I mean? Now, the next paragraph, I feel, is an outright lie. It says here, and that's why he's speaking out now. Though he no longer works for her, Steve considers Meghan a friend. My wife and I got invited to the wedding. That's how close we became, he says, adding that they exchange emails on birthdays and holidays. Aw, isn't that sweet? You mean the former security guy got an invite to the wedding, but only one member from her family was able to go? Come on now. When you look at the list of invites to this wedding and those that attended, this guy, Steve Davies, is nowhere to be found. So I find this very hard to believe, but they have to make it look like Meghan has friends and that she is a kind person. Anyway, he goes on to say, I would work with her again. Not a problem at all. She was a good person to work for, and she still is a good person. Well then, Meghan, maybe give this guy a call. It didn't seem like you had any bodyguards with you when you were at the gala the other night. Another garbage article that nobody believes. I wonder how much money she put into it. But in any case, moving on to the more interesting exclusive is this one that was put in Star Magazine for October 14th. Now, we all know that this is the magazine that Meghan traditionally goes to give stories. So could this story in Star this week be about leaking what Harry is up to? Let's take a look closer to find out if Meghan did this to piss Harry off. So the article kicks off by saying, nearly a year after his last visit to New York City with wife Meghan Markle, Prince Harry returned solo. The 40-year-old arrived in the Big Apple September 22nd to kick off a series of engagements in support of several of his patronages and philanthropic initiatives, including African Parks, the Halo Trust, the Diana Awards, Travelus, Santa Bali, the Parents Network, and his own Archwell Fugazi public charity. Appearing at ease and confident, he earned a standing ovation at a Clinton Foundation event after passionately speaking about the dangers of children using the web and drew praise for his remarks about mental fitness during a speech at the United Nations. People noticed that this was a more relaxed Harry, a source tells Star. He was smiling and clearly relishing meeting with people about things that really matter to him. To him might be key. Nearly 5 years after he and Meghan, 43, left their roles as senior working royals in Britain and moved to her native California, Harry is questioning their partnership, says the source, and is looking for more independence. The pair, who both operate under the Archwell umbrella, are already going in different directions, with Meghan pursuing a cooking lifestyle show while Harry resumes his charity work and is planning a Netflix series on polo. Harry's given up so much for his marriage, his family, his home, friends, explains the source. There's this feeling he's been striving to make Meghan happy at the expense of his own happiness. Now, the one thing that feels very different here is that Star Magazine is no longer saying, Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, when they list her in these articles. So I'm wondering if that is a clue indicating that they are going to be separating soon. The other thing that points the finger at Meghan here is notice that it said Harry gave up everything for Meghan. It doesn't say Harry gave up everything for his wife and children. It's everything for Meghan, always about Meghan. So it says here, secret plan. After NYC, Harry had another solo trip, this time to London for the Well Child Awards September 30th. Meghan was expected to once again stay home with their kids, Archie and little Betty. So you see how they're positioning this, making it look like, oh, she's being held back because Harry is never around. And now he wants to go back home and leave her here with the kids, because we all know Meghan's not going back to the UK. Essentially, she's making it look like he wants to abandon her. We're going to see more of Harry branching out on his own, says the source. Again, no word about the kids, maybe positioning it so Meghan does get these phantom kids. He just seems more self-assured going solo where the focus is on the issue, not on Meghan and what she's wearing or her latest controversy. Despite his estrangement from father King Charles III and brother Prince William, privately, Harry would like to get back in the royal fold in some capacity, adds the source. No one says he's abandoning his marriage just yet, but some believe his newfound independent streak and yearning to mend ties with his family doesn't bode well for him and Meghan in the long term. Now, this next paragraph I think is an outright lie. It says here, as Starr has previously reported, he's found an ally in his sister in law, Princess Kate. Notice they use Kate instead of Catherine. We know that this is coming from California. If he wants to resume life in royal circles, Catherine could be the one to help him, says the source. Yeah, I don't think that that's happening anytime soon. And I think that was purposely put in there to gaslight the public because we all know this. Yeah, I'm sure Catherine is very forgiving, but she does not forget. And let's all not forget the attacks on the family, especially Catherine and her children. So I am going to call bullshit on this, Meghan. I see you, and I know what you're doing here. She's been rooting for Harry to end the rift with William. He quietly reached out to the 42-year-old. He knows her word carries a lot of weight in the firm. So this is what I think. I think Meghan leaked that Harry is trying to reach out, probably trying to get a hold of Catherine, because, yeah, he does want to get back in my opinion, and they're not taking his calls. So he might be trying to do this, and Meghan is letting everybody know that this is what's happening. And this is just my opinion. Let me know what you think. It continues, it says, Meghan, however, remains steadfast after criticizing the royal family for failing to protect her from racist attacks, among other complaints. She has no intention of returning to life in Britain, says the source. This is right out of the narcissist playbook. It's, I'm dumping you before you dump me, and I'm going to do this so I can save face. Because the rumors that are flying around right now is that Meghan is not allowed to step foot back on UK soil. So putting it out there that, I don't need you anyway, and I have no reason to go back there because you guys are so hateful and racist that I don't need to grace you with my presence attitude. But Meghan's going to go ahead and continue on this narrative about how they didn't want her to be a part of the family and she was always considered an outsider. Bullshit. She was always an outsider and was never really made welcome. Oh, boo-hoo, Meghan. Her life is in the U.S. now. Harry's wavering allegiance blindsided her, adds the source. She thinks it's a mistake going back to them, the family that treated her so badly, yet Harry is open to negotiation. He seems to think he can have it both ways, says the source, getting back with his family while still maintaining a life with Meghan and the kiddos in California. There they are, still pushing this half in, half out. Meghan under fire. Publicly, Harry's always defended Meghan. After all, he gave up his royal life for her. You see, Meghan likes knowing that and hearing that because she got a man who had everything to leave it behind and trade it in for some kind of prize, which Meghan honestly does see herself worth more than all that other stuff. I do think that she does enjoy knowing that he gave up everything to go worship her. But privately, says the source, he recognizes that the near constant criticism of his wife has negatively impacted his once high popularity. In September, The Hollywood Reporter published a damning report about staff turnover in the Sussex's office, quoting a source saying employees were terrified of the former Suits star, dubbed Duchess Difficult by former staffers, said the source. She marches around like a dictator in high heels, fuming and barking orders. I've watched her reduce grown men to tears. Also, I think Meghan enjoys hearing that she is seen as this authoritarian figure. I truly believe that because she is that nasty. Since the report, other Sussex staffers publicly defended Meghan. Best bosses I've ever had. One current team member wrote on Instagram while another described his experience as positive and supportive. Either way, Harry finds himself caught in the middle. The Hollywood Reporter source described him as an enabler to his wife. Meghan is very opinionated and has authority, a source tells Star, adding that she's been described as a control freak and is obviously the one steering the relationship, which makes his plans for independence all the more tricky. It's rare anyone would witness the couple arguing, explains the source, because Harry usually goes along with whatever she says. He probably figures it's better that way than to fight. You know what it feels like they did here? They made Meghan look like this authoritative figure. Yes, they mentioned the Hollywood Reporter story, but they counterbalanced it with the bullshit stories of staffers coming out saying that she was the best boss ever. I think they did this to position this leadership figure or personality that she has, but then made Harry look like the wimpiest guy out there, meaning that he cowers to Meghan and Meghan is the one that wears the pants, which we know is the case. We see it on a global stage, but they have made him look like a wimpy kind of guy, and Meghan being this powerful, strong woman, not in a very positive way, but definitely powerful and strong, and in her ways. Anyway, let me go ahead and finish this off. So, more obstacles to come. Instead, as he proved in NYC, Harry is continuing to burnish his reputation on his own. Though their unofficial royal tours of Nigeria and Colombia this year were well received, their biggest success so far has been Harry's 2023 memoir, Spare. Their lucrative podcasting contract with Spotify abruptly ended last year after Meghan's archetypes fizzled. Their charitable foundation, public charity, suffered a decline in contributions, and Meghan's much-hyped American Riviera lifestyle brand has yet to launch. They had such high hopes, doors were opening for them in the beginning, says the source. Many believe Harry would do well to branch off on his own. Don't be surprised if he tests the waters with even more solo engagements, leaving Meghan behind. Harry's savoring these times when he's by himself, says the source, but it could spell more trouble for his marriage. I don't know, folks. That ending sounded very much like a threat, almost to say as, Harry, if you don't come home, it's over, type of thing. Honestly, we really don't know what is going on here, but the one thing that is for certain is that the Harkles are behind a lot of these pieces coming out into the media, because here in the United States, we don't care about this couple. We really don't. And, for this back and forward of will they, won't they, this is what they do and have been doing for the last 6 years. This is to, keep their names in the public, as well as to keep us distracted and stupid and looking over here versus looking over there. They're up to a lot of no good at this moment, and I do believe that it is catching up with them. This saga, I hate to say it, is nowhere close to being over. This is just about to get started, in my honest opinion. But, we will have to wait and see how all of this plays out. Anyhow, today it was a real nice breath of fresh air to see the Princess of Wales in Southport today with her husband, to meet privately with the families of the 3 little girls killed in the knife attack that happened this past July. I'm really happy to see Catherine slowly getting back to work these days, and today's visit to Southport, I believe, brought a bit of comfort, as well as I know it meant a lot to these families who have been affected by this horrific tragedy. I'm really glad that Catherine and William took the time out to do that, to show that these families are not forgotten. Anyhow, what do you guys think? Definitely leave your thoughts below. As always, I will be back with more content, but until then, please be safe, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!
You're such a fraud.